Good afternoon, everyone. One of the things about this channel is I kind of just talk about whatever happens to come to mind. And today, what I wanted to talk about is photography. So, in a previous life, and I know I'm kind of young to have had all of the different career paths that I've had so far, but in a previous life, I was a full time photographer for a time. And my photography path started way back in probably 2007 when I was still in high school. And the reason actually that I got started in photography in the first place was because at that time I intended to go into filmmaking. And I kind of took up photography as kind of a way to practice things like, angles and lighting and things like that. It was never something that I intended to pursue as a career, although I did eventually do that. But I kind of wanted to talk to people that, maybe you're thinking about getting into photography, maybe you're kind of already a little bit into photography, and, what kind of recommendations would I have for you? And my number one recommendation is just start with the camera that you have. I know that there's some folks out there, the first thing that they do, I want to take up photography. I'm going to go drop, $800, $1,800, $2,000 on a camera. Don't do that. You probably already have a camera. Either it's attached to your phone, maybe you have a point and shoot camera, maybe your mom has a point and shoot camera that you can borrow. Just start with the camera that you have. Start experimenting, trying new things. And yeah, the camera that you have, it probably doesn't do all the things that you want it to do, but it's a starting point, and it's basically free if you already have the camera. Just go and experiment with what you already have. Look for interesting angles, interesting lighting, interesting, just try to work on seeing the world differently. When I first started as a photographer, the very, deep in my heart, what did I want to do? I want to go to Africa and take pictures of cheetahs or something. But I couldn't. I was 17. So what did I do? I walked around my neighborhood and looked for interesting things to take pictures of. And is that as interesting and exciting as, going on a photo safari? Oh, no. But what it does is it kind of forces you to have that kind of critical eye for the world around you. And I was in North Texas, and, I remember in the winter, everything's just brown. Brown, brown, brown. Oh, there's a little sprig of green over there, but everything's brown. It's, it's kind of hard, and it should be. It needs to be challenging, because if you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing as a photographer. But, I learned a lot about things like leading lines. I had a while there where I really, really liked, patterns and repeating things like that. Um, and, the sky is oftentimes, depending on where you live, just a brilliant blue. And in direct sunlight, if you can get something lit just right with that bright blue behind it, it can look really cool. Eventually, though, you will realize that you are outshooting your camera, which, I mean, the camera just isn't keeping up with you. You need it to do other things that it can't do anymore. And at that point, yeah, maybe you do want to start thinking about, um, hey, can I get maybe a cheap DSLR or even a high-end point and shoot, depending on what your budget's like. The very first DSLR that I purchased was a Nikon D800, which was kind of like, I don't know, probably one or two levels above just pure entry. But it came with, a fairly decent kit lens, and I bought a longer lens to go with it. And again, for a while, it worked really, really well. It did everything that I needed it to do. And after a few years, I realized, you know what, I'm out shooting this camera now too. And then I got my current camera, which is a Nikon D800. Beautiful camera, it takes gorgeous images, very, very high resolution images. Um, and at this point, I don't think that I'm out shooting that camera. It's just getting old. And I think that whenever Nikon gets around to putting out a new camera in that line, I'm probably gonna try to get enough money together to get that new body. But it's it isn't necessarily. Like, I'm still using that camera. I'm still putting out great images, but there's, some features that the newer cameras have that would be nice to have, and that's it. Um, but yeah, just start where you're at. Play, have fun, challenge yourself, and you'll find yourself growing over time. If you have any questions about photography, I'm certainly have many, many years of experience in that now, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have in the comments. I'd appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.